And we're live.
We in here. We in here.
Welcome
to another
Sunday
episode.
At 5.
Oh my God, I'm trying to log in. But yeah, welcome guys to another episode of Chat About Toronto. We're here with your three favorite co-hosts. My name is Tez.
And I'm Miss T.
And I am Mel Black Rose.
And before we even get into the topic, let me just encourage you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us on Instagram at chatbouttoronto, one word. Okay, so just make sure you subscribe. If you love our content, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We need your subscription and we need those likes on this video.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yay.
How you guys been doing this week? How has your week been? How's your mental health been? How's your emotional health been?
I don't know. Yeah. Mel, you start.
Mental check. I think I'm actually doing better than I thought I would be doing. I'm really I had periods like last week where I just wasn't on social media at all. No social media, no nothing. Because I noticed that it was before the blackout, the media blackout. I noticed that everybody was just posting just so much negativity and it was just going on, the constant violence, the constant anger, the constant thing. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back because I'm not in a mental space about it right now. So I'm just going to take a step back. So doing that, I was able to revive myself and I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
You guys?
Good. That's good. For me, it was kind of the same thing. I, as you guys know, I'm a poster, but for the last couple of weeks, I have just not been motivated to post. So I have also just kind of taken a leave from social media. I've just been observing. And in doses, because too much violence, too much trauma, too much.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of, just keeping aware, keep getting my highlights, my updates, but taking a break,
I know. I don't see you posting your little nasty your nasty little posts. I stop seeing it.
I know. Everybody's probably wondering what the hell's wrong with Miss T. She's gone. What's wrong with her? Honestly, I've just been so introspective and just been processing now. Processing. And try, you know what, the other thing I've really been working hard at is because I know I'm big on energy and I'm big on, our vibrations and all that shit. It affects us and I know the importance of it. I know the importance of not giving energy to things that we don't want to happen or we don't want to be seeing. But I also know how captivating it is. And so that's part of why I've kind of been just kind of staying away from the negativity because it draws you in and nothing good comes from it, right? I shouldn't say nothing good. The one good thing that's come from all the negativity is the awareness that the rest of the world seems to be coming to with regards to, police brutality and anti-Black racism. But in terms of our emotions and in terms of, seeing positive change, the negativity, the violence, the destruction, all that kind of stuff, eating that all day is never gonna come to anything positive. And so that's why it's hard. It's a balancing thing that I'm trying. You want to be aware and you want to be connected and you want to be, a change agent, but at the same time, I don't want to feed into the negativity because I know it sounds real hippie-ish, but I know that energy is gonna fucking be destructive.
It's true because even it's the same struggle I have because it's sometimes I just want to break from it, and then another time it's just I can't look away. I have to keep updated on what's happening. But it does make me feel very angry, very passionate in a negative way towards other races, to be very honest with you, because I'm just why is it that it's always Black people? Why is it that we're the most hated race on the planet? What did we do to deserve this? So we have to balance out how much we're taking into our system and what we're feeding into our system, because it does create psychological effects.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So today's episode was really to talk about the different microaggressions that we deal with in our day-to-day lives, right? Not just in social media and on media and stuff, but just like in the workplace and with friends and people of non-blacks, the things that we sometimes have to deal with. So, Mel, do you want to tell us what the technical
Look, sir.
definition?
I think with us, like, that term microaggression is it. I think a lot of people would deem it as it's like underlining with racism, but the actual term for microaggression is like it's usually used for a brief commonplace verbal, behavioral, or environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicates hostile, derogatory, or negative prejudice, and, like, slight insults towards any group, particularly a culturally marginalized group. It often appears to be a compliment or a joke, but it contains a hidden insult about that particular group.
So it's pretty much an insult that's rooted in a stereotype.
Yes.
Pretty much what it is.
And we
kind of as a compliment.
Yeah. Like a little tiny little joke, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
little joke.
Yes. And I think a lot of people need to understand, like, microaggression is like, it's more than just insensitive comments or generalized jerky behavior. It's something very specific. The kind of remarks and questions or actions, they're painful because they have to do with a person's membership in a group.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what makes it unsettling is that it happens so frequently and casually and so often that, like, we don't even realize that we're even taking it in psychologically at, like, when it's happening to us at work or, outside of work.
It's something that we almost come numb to. Right? Yeah. Go ahead, Tess. What are you saying?
Yeah, I was saying that we become so desensitized to microaggressions that even sometimes it is a way for other people to really tell you how they feel about the group that you're associated with or the culture that you're associated with. But because we're so accustomed to it, we don't even pay attention to that. We just sometimes chalk it up as ignorance. So, like, with that, I think that's one of the reasons it's very important for us to have these types of conversations to kind of bring awareness to, like, microaggressions and how they affect us, right?
So one of the examples I know I think of right off the top of my head, because we hear it so often, is things like, "You're pretty for a Black girl."
Mm-hmm.
"You're really pretty for a Black girl." That kind of stuff is like, for a Black girl.
Yeah.
Because typically Black girls are all ugly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So in a situation, so when you hear that, how do you feel?
You feel like shit. Like, that's not a compliment. That's, "I'm pretty for a Black girl." What is that? What
does that even mean?
That's crazy. So those things don't make you feel good. They make you, it's like a backhanded compliment. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, I know historically, like, we've dealt with so much of that because we've been voiceless for a long time. And we were slaves, we were oppressed, we were all these things. And so for a lot of us, we just kind of hear those things and we ignore it.
Right.
Culture, I mean, historically, because you really couldn't do anything about it because you get beaten, stolen, flogged, whatever. And then even after that, you still face repercussions because you're either going to be told that you're always looking for something racist, you're always looking about everything's about race, or you could potentially face further repercussions if it's in the workplace or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So most of us just kind of ignore it. We ignore those things that we hear. We just laugh it off or whatever, right? But like, as I was saying to you guys earlier, as I've gotten older with my experience and, as I've just become more Black, like, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I check that shit. Like, I don't allow those types of things to pass as I used to.
Right.
You know, those things that those kind of comments, I would normally just kind of like laugh it off, or just be like, "Oh my god, you're so ignorant," and just kind of leave it alone. Or be upset sometimes and just walk away, pissed off, because like, how could you say something so ignorant? But I wouldn't say it to them. Now I say it to them.
You know what just came to me? You know what could be a form of and tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think a form of microaggression. By the way, good afternoon, Junior Demas. He just said good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Junior.
So what just came to me is that could it be that when we see black men, or we're like, yo, we want a big, strong black man, you know, could the fact that we feel more protected or more or safer with a dark skinned black man, could that be a form of microaggression? Because it is somewhat a way of kind of weaponizing the black body, because we think that we're safer because we have this big black man beside us. Could that be a form of microaggression?
Well, yeah, because I guess you're in, but I don't think it would be, because
from whose perspective?
Yeah, because
like,
they're not a marginalized
from who? From us?
Yeah, can't.
From us or from other races who find big dark skinned black men attractive for that very reason, because they feel more protected, safer around those men.
I think with us it wouldn't be a microaggression. It's just we're just being prejudiced. Like that we can't, because with microaggression, it has to be like you're going against a marginalized group, and we are in that same marginalized group, so we can't use that as, or stereotypes, I would say, or prejudice that we would be having with against light-skinned men. Thinking,
yo, I'm trying to understand.
So you guys need to check your prejudice on stereotypes.
No, but I'm trying to understand this part. Like, so do we feel safer with big, strong men as opposed to small, weak men?
Not small, weak men, but taller and thicker guys with more muscles. Especially, sometimes we feel like, you know, they're quicker to defend us, especially if they're darker. We feel like light-skinned men will more, you know, kind of quiver a bit. So that's kind of the angle I'm looking at. Not that they're weaker, like technically, it's just how they appear to us.
I don't feel that way. So I don't know. I don't feel that a dark-skinned man is more aggressive than a light-skinned man.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel that way. So I don't know. For me, no.
But I think a good majority of the Black community does think that, in regards to like when they make jokes. Like even right now, we have these little passive aggressive memes about light skin guys. Like how a dark skin guy swings. Like there's this one where they show this dark skin guy swinging. It's like a nice sharp swing. And then it has the light skin guy just going, ooh, like they try like a fairy like swinging, or like how a dark skin guy falls, or how normal people fall, and then how a light skin guy falls. It's just like,
But do you think that's something that's rooted in like truth? Do you think people really feel that way, or is it just a joke?
I think people feel that way. I think people feel that way. And I feel like even light-skinned guys feel it too. And that's why sometimes they're a bit aggressive and angry sometimes, because they've probably always been deemed as, I'm not saying for all light-skinned guys, but I'm sure they have experienced that. I hear it all the time.
I mean, it goes back to like historically, of course, back to slavery time, right? The dark-skinned guys were the stronger ones because they were the ones toiling the land. The light-skinned people were inside. They were more the help, the servants, and all that kind of stuff. So I get historically where it could come from, but I don't know. I just didn't think people really thought that. I thought it was just a joke. I know there's people who really think it, of course, but I just didn't think it was like widely accepted as the thinking. I thought it was just like a joke that we run, like, you know.
But see, that could be a passive aggressive, a joke that we think is a joke, but to some people they're not taking it as a joke.
Absolutely,
you know what I'm trying to say?
Right? Light-skinned guys are probably like, yeah, that's what the fuck we've been saying all along.
Exactly.
Right now. Right? But yeah.
But can we go back? Let's bring ourselves back, because you know we can go off completely. So Todd, what type of microaggressions have you experienced besides pretty for a Black girl?
Things that I think a lot of people experience as Black people in the workplace. You experience things like when people say things like you're well spoken,
Yeah,
or you articulate yourself really well, things like that. And I'm like, okay, you know a lot of big words too. Like, I don't know what to say to that, right? But but yeah, like little things like that.
Or if you like, or if you like, stuff like fine arts, or if you like classical music, or
yeah,
if you
they're
like,
surprised.
yeah, they're like, you like that?
You
like,
listen to this?
You listen to that? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I just always thought you listened to rap. I don't know. I always thought you would listen to rap. Like this one time I took an Uber, and my Uber driver had it was some friggin' white group playing, and I can't remember, but I actually know the song. And he was like, "Oh, I could switch it. I'm sorry, I could switch it." And he puts on rap. He puts on a rap. Yeah, puts on a rap.
I've had an Uber experience like that too.
Yeah, I actually don't listen to that. And he's like, he was so confused for a second there. He was like, okay, so like what do I play? I'm like, we could actually leave the radio off.
Yeah, because you put in the ass.
Yeah, right. Let's just turn it off.
Yeah, it's true. They always turn on 93.5. Always.
Yeah.
Always. And sometimes I have to be like, bro, I don't listen to 93.5, bro. Don't put that station on. Just like, you know what I'm saying? And usually I have my playlist ready for my ride. I don't need a super foolish playlist. But sometimes it's true. Like it is a microaggression, because it's like this automatically, you're assuming that that's what I want to listen to, instead of just asking, what kind of music do you want to hear? Yeah. You just want to put on the hip hop and the freaking watered down hip hop and think that this is what I like.
Watered down,
right? Boy, bye. Yeah, I'd be like, I listen to Afrobeats. I'm such a bitch sometimes. Like, what do you listen to? African music. That's all I do now. You're bright. You're bright. Tess, what other examples do you have?
What about when you go to work, right? And you wear braids this month, and next month you have a weave in, and then the next month you might rock your natural fro. They're like, oh my God, like, how do you get your hair to do that? Like, how do you do that? Like, you had straight hair your hair was like mine. Like, your hair looked like mine. And then this month your hair looks like, is that your hair? Like, like, how does it work? And then they go a step further to try to touch it, because they wanna, they have to feel it. And I'm just like, why you have to touch me? Like, why you have to put your hand on my person in order to ask me about my hair?
Gotta pet you. Gotta see what your fur feel like. What do you mean?
Girl, the thing is, what is it that urges them to want to touch our hair? Like, I don't have that urge at all to want to touch
their hair,
anybody's hair. No. What is it that makes them want to pet us like we're animals? What?
I don't know.
What?
So Cam says, imagine having locks. She gets the question, how do you wash it? Girl, that's a question. Now, honestly, questions can be microaggression, but sometimes they're really just based in ignorance, right? They don't know, because they don't got our hair, so they don't know, right? So I don't want us to confuse questions with microaggressions, but sometimes those questions are.
Right. I feel like it is microaggression if I'm not close with you to ask me that kind of conversation. Like, if me and you are brethren and you're white or you're non-Black and you really don't know, we can have that conversation. But you can't go to someone that you don't really know and then have that conversation with them. That is where I think we have to be careful.
I think that's where we differ culturally, because I don't think that non-Blacks or even white people, I don't think that they think that way, because white people are very engaging. Like, they'll ask anyone really personal questions, right? It's just part of the investigative nature that they have. So I don't necessarily know that it's something that only, like, for us, we have a different etiquette. Like, we would not ask certain questions because we'd be like, that's nosy, like, that's bull-faced for you to ask that, right? But I don't feel like they subscribe to the same kind of thinking like we do in that sense.
And
Because
that's
things
the
that we
problem.
would never ask, they would
But
ask.
Tash, that's the problem. We're giving them a blind because we're saying that's just how they are. That's problematic because just because you're a particular way, you're in a work environment with a diverse group of people. At some point, you're gonna have to look within your own self to see, maybe I do need to make some kind of adjustments. We can't keep on saying, oh, you know what? That's just how they are. So, we're just going to allow them. No, we have to stop giving that type of excuse because I don't think that that's fair because we have to adjust ourselves accordingly in a workplace. So should they. Whether or not it's
what I'm saying is, so something like asking you about your hair, would you see that as something that's off limits if you were just talking to another Black person?
Like, what do you mean? Black people don't really ask.
Like we're talking about their hair, right? So like we're talking about the fact that they ask us about our hair. No, so if you don't know anything about someone's culture or their hair or whatever, and you're asking that question, would you consider that something that's offensive or something that's too personal a question to ask?
To a Black person, if it's something, I'll just say, yo, your hair looks dope. And usually a Black person will say, or a non-Black, even someone who colors their hair, a white person or an Indian person, when you say, yo, your hair looks dope, then they go into the procedures of what they went through to get to what they have. So if I see a white girl, I'll be like, yo, how'd you get your hair? Yo, pink, fire. And they'll be like, girl, white people are like, I went through so many processes. I had to do this color. I had to switch it. So there's a way to engage to get certain information if you really, really want to, instead of being so like touching my head, like, oh, how do you get it like that? No, do you know what I mean? I get what you're saying, Tash. I'm not saying that, they're not those type of people. They do sometimes tell you their family business without asking. But at some point now, we're all in this workforce together. We still have to kind of have like that understanding about each other, right? Because we keep on giving a blind. That's why they're going petting people on the fucking street.
Now that I don't give a blind on. That I don't agree with. Like, don't touch me. Don't come and touch my hair. Don't come and whatever. But like, I can't really be offended if someone just asks me a question about my hair. Like, I don't want to be, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm just also being like, it's just a general question. If someone just be like, you know what? Like, sometimes you have your hair this way, you have it that way. Like, how is it that you change your hair so often? Like, what is it that you're doing? I don't have a problem with that question.
Yeah. I know, but some people do.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's just a question though. Like, if you're just a regular person, forget your race. If it was another Black person who asked you that, you would look at her like, so why the fuck don't you know this? But you wouldn't answer her like, you're offending me, right? You'd be like, girl, it's a wig. Like, what do you mean?
Right. But
or it's a weave, or it's braids, or it's a crochet, or it's whatever, right? You wouldn't be offended by the question. But if a white person asks you, how do you change your hair so often? Like,
but why do they need to know? That's something why do they need to know? You can't do it.
A question but it's a question that anybody would ask.
No one's ever asked me that, so I really don't know how I would respond. I don't know. People probably see my face and know they can't ask me no nonsense questions because I've had green hair. So I'm coming from a place of ignorance because no one has ever asked me. Nobody.
Nobody ever asked you like, how can you change your hair?
Nobody besides trying to touch my hair. Nobody has ever asked like, how do you get your hair? Like nobody. So I've gotten more
questions than people trying to pet me. Like people don't really typically try to reach out to touch me or touch my hair, but they will ask me. They will definitely ask, like, oh my God, your hair was long last week, it's short this week, or it's curly, or it's blah, 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 whatever. Like, and naturally, if my hair was long down to my fucking bottom last week, and this week I'm rocking a fro hawk, then yeah, I expect you to ask me like, the fuck? Or the reverse. I was rocking a fro hawk and now my hair is flowing down to my ankles. Like, I'm giving you the fucking, like, yeah, I expect you to think, how did that happen? Like, maybe if you're not familiar with weaves and wigs and shit, you're gonna be like, oh my God, like, did you just pull it out of your head?
Google it. The answer sometimes, every answer you have in life, every answer you need, press the Google. www.google.com. You will find everything. I would say one of microaggression I've experienced. I remember I used to work for the welfare office, and a client coming inside the office, getting support from me. I'm the caseworker, and she had said to me, oh, so how did you get this job? So you have an aunt or an uncle who works in the province who, like, you know, mind you, you're coming for support. Okay. So the old me would have ignored that question. And I said, actually, no. I have 2 degrees with honors. I applied for this job. 500 people actually applied. And we took a test and I got the job. Unfortunately, unlike you, I don't have hookups for a job. So I worked my way for this. You get, like, that to me was like, I'm nipping this shit in the butt, bitch. Don't try me. I am not the one. But those are the little microaggressions that we could probably ignore. And that's why sometimes, at some point after that conversation, I even stopped talking about my educational level in the job, because technically it really has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. Exactly. You get what I'm trying to say? So I stopped talking about it. So I knew that people already had an assumption about me, and they made these excuses about how I got where I was. Even at a point, like one of the you even know the person, Tash. I left. They used to sit right beside me on my desk, and when I left my desk, I had my resume open.
Yeah.
And that person peeked and looked at my resume.
Really?
Yes. They peeked and looked at my resume and said to me, I'm so surprised that you have 2 degrees, Mel.
Wow.
I had no idea that you had all this experience working the job that you did.
Wow.
Wow.
And I knew that would end up being the result, because I know and that's what I'm like, I was just like, did you go to school?
Were you even allowed to go?
They did. And then that's when she went into her conversation saying how she never had a chance to graduate from university. She only went for a year. And I'll let you sit on that.
That's
right. So then I'll be like, you know what? You should just continue on and go on to court. They have courses online.
Or guys, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but let's say, for example, you're doing a job interview. Do you feel a little bit more comfortable when there is a Black person in the room?
Depends on how the Black person, see how I'm going to be stereotypical.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It depends. Not all the time.
Energy. Yeah.
Yeah, not all the time. Because just because you see a Black face in the room does not mean that they're on your side.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in our workplace, that there's been our people sitting on our panels and they don't give 2 fucks.
Well, I must say, when I did my interview, there was a Black face in the room, and it helped me to feel much more comfortable. And that Black face actually advocated for me. So I get what you're saying.
That Black face, girl, that was a luck of the draw, honey, because not every Black face is the same. Because honestly, like, we have, like, you naturally, like, right away, your first instinct is like, whew, okay, there's one of us here. Yeah. But then you look in their eyes.
Yeah.
You see when you make eye contact, you're like,
oh shit.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because some Black women or men, they have this encouraging eyes. They're like,
right.
Yes, you can do it, girl. I'm rooting for you. You feel it.
They give you the nod. They'll give you the little smile, like,
comfortable.
You got this, right?
Yes.
And then there's others that give you the blank stare.
Yeah.
Like, don't think because you Black and I'm Black that you're getting away here, honey.
Yeah.
They give you that look.
Yeah. But I also feel that maybe sometimes Black people who are in higher positions actually psychologically have dealt with microaggression. So sometimes they don't want to be, unfortunately, it's sad, because now they've come to a place where they don't want to be that person who hires Black people, because they don't want their other colleagues to say, oh, well, if, Jamal or somebody is doing the testing, he's going to hire Black people, when other races don't care.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But psychologically now, we've been affected.
Because when we're vendors hiring, guess who's hiring? Guess who's getting hired?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Anybody else hires their own race. They hire their own culture. They have no problem doing it. And they don't care if you feel a way about it. Like, they're like, my cousin knows how to do the job.
Look good. Yeah. They make all these excuses or whatever the case may be. Like, I remember one time I was working at this other office, a very small department. And, you know, initially when I got into the job, it was small. So I'm, you know me at work, but I don't really chat too much. I'm a chatter, but not really at work. I just want to I don't even go for walks at lunch. I just sit at my desk. So I remember I started this job, and I remember my ex at the time, he made a comment and said, you know, you can't go into this new job and be that angry Black girl. Make sure that, you know, when you go into that workplace, you say good morning to everybody so that they don't assume that you're a particular way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh God.
I was very angry that he even had the nerve to say that, because why would you assume that I am an angry Black person who goes into the workplace and not say good morning?
Yeah, like you have no manners.
Yeah, like
it's not us here to tell to say good morning. It's not us.
It's not us to not say good morning. So I obviously that was my usual thing. Like I would say good morning, and I'm telling you, none of these bitches would say fucking good morning back.
That's right.
Nobody would say good morning back. I still continue to do it. It was to a point where I decided I'll still say good morning, but that's it. So I would just say good morning, go to my desk, do whatever. Do you know the manager called me to her office? The manager called me to the office. Yes, girl. The manager, the person. So there was two people that were supposed to be like our leads. One woman, oh my God. Even though I could feel she was racist, fine, but she was very helpful. But the other one, she would never ever, like, if I say good morning, the bitch would grunt. So I stopped asking.
She would grunt, though?
Yeah, she would grunt. So I said to myself, I'm not asking this girl no questions. And that's when I came to the mindset where I'm going to write everything down. So if you train me, every little word you say, I've written it down. So I never have to come back to you to ask you a question again, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the manager calls me into the office. And she's like, oh, you know, Mel, you know, I'm just noticing, and some of your colleagues, remind you, there's only 6 people on the team, eh? You know, they're saying that you're not happy here, and they've overheard some of your conversations. And, you know, I noticed you just don't really talk to people. And I just want to, you know, have dialogue with you.
Wow.
So I said to her, I'm very disappointed I'm very disappointed at you as a manager that you're coming to me about workplace gossip. Well, question that you should have asked me was, are you happy to work here? That is the question you as a manager should not engage in any kind of conversation that has nothing to do with you. And I said, when I walk into the office in the morning, do I say good morning? And she said, yes. I said, who responds back? You know, she was quiet. I said, please, of course. Moving forward, and then I gave her the real. I said, moving forward, if you have a question to talk to me about, make sure that your question is like the truth, and make sure that you're being professional about this. Because right now, this is not professional, and that you're making me feel very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I said, I really don't want to bring up the fact that it's possible that you may be asking me this because I'm one of the only Black people on this team. Yeah. Conversation done. Yeah. Conversation done. Because oh my God. I was so, like, my heart was pounding so much because I was the angry person. I don't even talk. So how is somebody who doesn't talk the angry Black person at work?
Yeah. That's what it is. It doesn't matter what you do, because that's seen as aggression. Your silence is aggression. You're not pleasant. Right. You're not engaging. You're aggressive. Yeah, because you're silently aggressive.
That was my reality at my first job when I moved here. Like, I was shy. I didn't know anybody. It's a whole new country. I don't know these people, and I was so quiet.
Barely even spoke English when you first came here.
Exactly. I didn't even know English, you know?
So kill me.
You did know English. I was so quiet.
I'm teasing.
This other white girl in the office, she was the same way. She was quiet. She never spoke to anyone. She was all about her job. Came, did her job, and went home. And one day, my manager said to me, you know, Tess, I can't read you. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't read you. I don't know if you're uncomfortable here. I don't know if you like your coworkers. I don't know if you like your job. You're just like so quiet. Like, I don't know how to read you.
Wow.
Like, there was something wrong with me. And the other girl never got that kind of meeting. Nobody ever talked about how she was or anything. It was just me. I was a problem because I was so quiet and I would have just like a straight face the whole time. And it was just like, yeah, you're making people in the office uncomfortable because you're not speaking. We don't know what you're thinking.
My God.
Let's go into we got 2 comments. Cam was saying, nope, I'll say good morning twice. No reply. I'm done.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I still do it because you know what? I don't care. Take your racism outside. We're at work, bitch. So however you feel, I don't care. Like I remember there was one person I said, listen, I don't care how you're feeling, bro. I'm gonna ask you questions because you sit right beside me. So whether you like me or not, I don't care. So let's just cut that shit out. Multiple saying, but they still look at you and assume you're angry even when you're polite. And he's right. Yeah. Yes. I don't know if Mota is a guy or a girl. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said I'm sorry. Because I saw the A at the end and I'm just like
yes.
Tash, have you like other examples? I have some, but you can go if you have one.
Let me see. What is another example that I've dealt with in my workplace?
While you're thinking about that, well, you know, one time I went on a date with a guy and the server came over and asked me, you know, would you like the wine list? And he was like, no, I don't. He's like, I don't think, do you know wines? Like, have you, and I'm like, well, I don't drink wines. And that's why I don't know them. It's not because like, I'm not exposed. You know what I mean? That's how it came up. It was just like, do you even know?
Why should he even waste his time running down the list, right?
Yeah. Like, no, it's okay. I think maybe she'll just have like a pop or something.
What?
And it's just like, yeah, and it's just like, not because I don't ask for it or because I don't drink it, I don't mean I'm not sensitized to wines. Like, yeah, I mean, that's, I'm just not interested in the beverage itself. So it's just like, and that's kind of when I stopped dating outside of my race. That was one of the reasons I stopped dating outside of my race. Because I'm like, I don't have the patience. I don't have the time to explain certain things to you. I can't. I can't.
I have another microaggression that I'm sure everybody has experienced here. Where are you actually from?
Yeah.
When you say I'm Canadian, but no, but where are you actually from?
You get the where are you from? I get the what are you mixed with? Virgin Mother? What are you?
I think that's more of a microaggression. Where are you from is not so much.
The definition, the professionals say this is a form of microaggression. Professionals are saying this is where I'm gonna get the list from.
I could hear that, but I understand that if like outside of our country, but like in Canada, if you ask any non-black, non-white person where are they from, they're going to tell you their country of origin.
Depends.
We don't typically say that we're from Canada, even though we're born here.
I think
most people, when you say where are you from, they'll tell you where they're from.
Right. But I think it's a form of microaggression because you're assuming that person is not from here. And we have Black Canadians here. So why couldn't I be a Black Canadian from Nova Scotia or Hamilton or wherever the case? So that's why why professionals deem it as a microaggression, because you're assuming that I'm a foreign to this actual land that I actually live in.
Yeah.
So that's
agreed.
Yes.
But is it okay?
Yes, that's what. Hey, I'm just reading what the research that I got. This is the research. This is the research.
But what do you guys
I ask people that question too.
So that maybe you need to check. You need to check out
they're not, whether they're white or Black or whatever. I ask them the same question. You know what I mean? Like when I ask people where are you from, and they tell me I'm from Toronto, I'm like, no, where are you from? Dog? Like, where are you from?
But why do you do that? If
because
the person already just said what they...
Because majority of the people that I encounter in Canada are immigrants.
Right, but if they've already said I'm Canadian, that's what they want you to know. Why are you asking deeper than what they're giving you? That is where they say that people have to check themselves.
Because I typically know that that's not where they're from.
See,
that's what I'm asking.
But to you. So what? Hey, Tasha, why are you brushing? Hey, Tasha,
I guess I'm a racist. I don't know.
The pressure is happening. The pressure. Because some people
like that's what it is. Because when I meet an immigrant and I ask them, like, and they tell me that, just like when I meet an Asian person, I'm saying, "What's your name?" And they're like, "Daisy." Your name is not Daisy.
Yeah, but
Tasha, you can't.
Your fucking name is not Daisy.
That's what we're.
You know what I mean? Hey, Tasha, I'm gonna have some tips for you after how to tell yourself not to be someone who gives microaggression. Hey, sister. Hey.
I'm clearly a racist. Clearly.
What are the other
Oh my God.
Another example would be we have to really talk about this one. There's a few phrases that you do hear at work, like sometimes if you're telling your colleague, you know, you are being, you know, a little racist, or you're being stereotypical, or you're whatever, and they say to you that when I look at you, I don't see color. Canada
Canada is a diverse country.
Yes,
We
we're a
don't see
tossed
color.
salad. We're a tossed salad. So how do you guys feel?
We're a tossed salad.
With how that's the definition. America is a melting pot, and Canada is a tossed salad due to the diversity that we have in Canada.
That we maintain,
So,
exactly. Which is why most people are not from here.
Tossed salad.
So how do you feel?
Salad just sounds like a Caucasian sexual act. I'm gonna toss your salad right now. Doesn't it? It just sounds.
It sounds nasty. It sounds nasty.
You guys are so ridiculous.
What salad do you want to toss? What salad are you talking about?
I don't toss salad. Sorry.
How would you respond when someone says, "I don't see color"? How do you guys feel when people say that?
Well, you guys I already went off on a rant about this earlier on in the year. That is a hot fucking button for me, because it is insulting for you to tell someone that you don't see their color. I think it is a far more inclusive statement to say that I accept you and I see you versus I don't see you. So I get what they kind of want to mean by that, but it's fucking rude and it's insulting. Don't tell me you don't see my color. See my color. Like, embrace my color, because I'm different to you, and that's okay. We're different.
Right.
My skin is brown, yours is not, and that's okay. But don't tell me you don't see my color. That's insulting.
Tess, how do you feel?
Yeah, just to echo what Tasha said, if you say you don't see my color, you don't see color, you don't see me, because obviously I don't look like you. So if you don't see color and I'm colored, then you're not seeing me.
We're transparent.
So we're transparent.
Okay. Yeah, that one.
We've been reduced to amoebas. Like, we're transparent.
Okay. So how about if someone said to you, so just say there's a conversation talking about, I don't know, diversity or discrimination in the workplace, and a white woman comes up to you and says, as a woman, I know what you go through as a racial minority.
What? They love to do that shit.
That is a microaggression.
Who is she talking to?
That shit.
You and you.
I mean,
your racial oppression is no different from my gender oppression. How do you feel?
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a big pile of steaming horse shit. Okay? And like, nobody is saying that other people don't have a plight. Many different groups have a plight that they deal with, but you cannot equate the plights. When one person has a multitude of levels of plights that they have to deal with, and you might just have one plight, it's not the same thing.
Not the same.
It is not the same thing. So no, and that's the other thing too. Like, it's that the thinking that people have is that if you are highlighting one thing, that you are somehow negating the other thing, or ignoring the other thing, or saying that the other thing doesn't matter as much. And that's not the facts. The reality of life is that there are a lot of marginalized groups. There's a lot of fuckery going on in the world. There's a lot of different areas where we need to fix up. Like, if that's just the reality. It doesn't mean that you have to compare them and be like, well, we're just as important as you are, because no, it's like, dog, we're all important.
Yeah.
Like,
Can I tell you? You're right. You know, it's so funny. Can I tell you? I had a conversation at work, and I think it was last year, and I think it was someone got murdered by the police, and it was a conversation that happened at work. And somebody I know who I assumed that was cool and was down and said, well, and I said, no, Black people still suffer in regards to justice. He's like, yeah, but it's better now. And I said to him, better in the sense that we're no longer slaves. And the person said, yeah, that's exactly what they meant. And they said that specifically stated that, you know, that whole strap up your bootstraps and, you know, you just have to work hard to get to where you are. And that's how that person generally felt. And they didn't think of it as it being racist.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of non-Blacks feel that way. Because that's also been the conditioning that first of all, we're not lazy. We're lazy. We've been deemed lazy because we no longer want to work for free. Because we no longer want to be slaves. We're lazy now. Right? No, we're not lazy.
Can you imagine? I'm not working for free anymore. When we were working for free, we were the best laborers. We could do any kind of crap that you would do for fun. And then now all of a sudden, it's not like that anymore. How does that work?
We're lazy. We've always taught our kids that they have to work twice as hard for anything in this world, right?
Yes.
That's a teaching that almost every Black person, no matter what country you come from, teaches their child, that you have to work twice as hard so that you can be recognized. You have to work doubly hard so that people see your worth. Yeah. So for the assumption to be that we are somehow wanting a handout or we don't want to work for what we deserve or whatever the case is bullshit.
Right.
It's absolute nonsense. There are, of course, there are a handful of people who want a handout.
Yeah. That's
in every community, right?
Every
community has people who don't want to work for what the fuck they should work for. But that's not us as a whole.
So do you think that our ancestors actually
hear me?
I can hear everyone on the call, but I think our audience is saying that they can't hear.
Oh.
Yeah, they can hear it.
Cam said it and Junior said.
Oh. So, I can hear it. I can hear it. I think. Okay, now I think we're back on.
We're back?
Because I can hear it.
I can hear it too.
Okay,
I think we're back.
All right, sorry guys.
Sorry,
so
little blip.
So the question I was asking them before, YouTube doesn't want us to be great. I was asking the ladies, how do they deal with microaggression at work? Because everybody deals with it differently. So some of us ignore it, some of us address it. And remember, there's no, like, how do you guys deal with it?
For me, previously I used to ignore it. I didn't want to come off as the angry Black girl or the girl who makes everything about race or to seem just like a troublemaker in a group. So previously I used to just try to ignore it and just say, you know what, for example, with the touching of the hair, I'm just like, well, they're just being nice, or they just want to find out, or they're just curious. But now I see them as entitled, rude, and just don't respect boundaries and don't respect me as a person, to think that you're entitled to any information about me, or for you to think that the space that you occupy is just for you. Like, for me, it's just no tolerance now. Like, I'm not afraid to call people out on it. And I feel like it comes with getting older. Like what Tasha said, we've learned how to suppress in order to cope. But it's like, as you get older and you get more exposed and you learn more, it's just like, no, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of behavior. I'm not going to tolerate it. And I'm going to teach my children not to tolerate that kind of behavior either.
Yeah, I think for me, initially I was probably like you, Tess, like I would ignore it. I would find ways of coping. So if I knew people were treating me a particular way, or if I felt tension, or if I felt, you know what I mean? I felt I was in a hostile environment, I put on my earphones and listened to music. Sometimes there was no music playing. I just had my earphones on so that no one could talk to me, because I just didn't want to have to deal with and have those type of conversations with people. But the older I got, and I think for me now, I understand my value as a worker and my value as an individual. You can't come and tell me nothing, but I also do pick my battles. If I know you're like some miserable old white lady who is not happy about her life, and you are giving me that fucking attitude or whatever the case may be, I let you be, because you're not worth my conversation and you're not going to help me excel in anything in my life. So you keep on being old and miserable and keep it pushing and looking pop down. That's a personal problem. But if it's somebody where I feel like I can have a say, I will make a comment, so that I will want them to actually think about why they're saying what they're saying. Because I've had comments to people saying, oh, you're not like the other Black people who work here. And you know where we work. And people have made that comment to me on numerous occasions. And I would say, what is the definition of being a Black woman?
Yeah.
How am I different from that? And I wait for them to have an answer. And majority of the time, they don't really have one. So now they have to check themselves and figure out why they're saying what they're saying to me and how it's insulting.
Yeah.
Right? So, Tash?
Well, for me, I do kind of the same thing. I mean, like I said, I check people now, but I pick my battles as well. I think, you know, the stigma that Black people always get about always crying race is something that plays in my mind. And so I also don't want to come off as the angry Black woman. I don't want to be the one that's always, oh, that's racist. Oh, yeah, well, that's racist. I don't want to be that person either, right? So a lot of times you just ignore things, or you just like, you know, you just watch it out the side of your eye kind of thing. Excuse me. But I do pick my battles, and I think a lot of what you say has more effect on the way you deliver it. I think that makes the difference. I think there are some people that will just cry racism and just be all like emotional and just be all angry and whatever the case is, and they're not being heard. I think it's the way in which you deliver the message that sometimes makes you makes people hear you. Not all the time, because racist ears are racist ears, right? But I think the way you deliver your message of what could potentially be something that's racist or a microaggression makes the difference sometimes. Yeah. If you're saying it to someone who's receptive, right? And a lot of times those microaggressions come from people who may not necessarily be openly or even identify as a racist. A lot of times it's coming from just a place of ignorance, just people just not knowing boundaries, or not knowing, like what you said is fucking ignorant. Like, you can't do that. Right. So sometimes when you correct them, you check them on it, they're like, oh shit, like I never thought of it like that. I'm sorry, I didn't even realize, like, you know. Yeah. So I think that has been something that I've employed. Like, not all the time does it work. Right. Certainly doesn't work all the time, and you can't always change people's thoughts, right? Like, how you think of me is what you're gonna think of me, right? But I'm gonna let you know that you might think that I'm some little pop down, you know, ghetto girl, but I could be that for you too. Like, I could be all things, because I'm every woman. But I'm gonna give you, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you what I feel that you deserve with, you know, the situation.
Right. So just say you're dealing with you're at work and you're dealing with someone who is microaggressive. I don't know if that's a term, but and you address them in a nice, polite manner. Okay. And they actually start making up excuses, and then they keep on, trying to defend or try to be argumentative about that. How would you guys moving forward deal with that particular person?
I would reduce my contact with that person.
Yeah.
Right.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
I've had a scenario like that at work where I was addressing something with someone, like we're having a conversation, and the person felt like I was rolling my neck and answering them in a way, like that kind of way. And I was like, that's not even how I operate, but okay. So I went to the person and I said, what just transpired there? Because, I'm confused with what happened. Like, what was that tension that we just experienced? And they basically told me that they felt like I was like popping my neck and like talking to them like disrespectfully. Like they just didn't feel like how I answered them was. I'm like, and they did those actions, by the way.
No, they
Yo, they did those actions when they imitated what I said. The actions came out, and I was like, what? Wait. Yeah. First of all, I had just gotten that job, so ain't nobody popping out their black girl like that, like at all. Okay, because we just started. So I was totally offended because number one, I know I didn't speak to her that way. I had witnesses that attested to that. I didn't speak to her that way. I didn't have no attitude. I didn't roll my neck. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't do none of the things that she showed me that I did. So I was highly offended, but I kept my cool and I said I apologized for how she felt that or how she interpreted my reaction to her, but that was not my intention. I was simply stating what I was stating. I hope we can move forward from this because that was not my intention.
Yeah.
Right. And the person thanked me and told me that they were glad that I came and spoke to them about it because it would have been really tense if I didn't.
So did that person at any point take ownership to anything?
None.
Wow.
None. No. They felt that I was the one in the wrong. They felt that I rolled up my neck and acted hella black. And
so after this, I need to know who this person is, so I know to avoid them.
I can't tell you who it is, but yeah, they fully had this thing, and for a good while, that person like avoided me too, didn't want to deal with me. Kind of had, even though I went to them and apologized, and I felt like we cleared the air. They were just very standoffish, didn't say anything. I would say good morning, wouldn't answer me, all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
No problem. So I stayed the fuck away from that person. Far.
Isn't it sad how as Black women we have to apologize in times when we're not in the wrong just to keep the cool? These are some of the effects of microaggressions.
That's right.
It works both ways. They don't get checked for their behavior, so they keep doing it, and then we keep suppressing because we're like, well, if we check them, then we're gonna lose our job. We're gonna lose this. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's why these conversations are they're so powerful and they're so needed, because I feel like if we all come together as Black people and start to realize and point out that that is not okay behavior. If more than one Black person calls it out, then you can't fire all the Black people in your workspace when they're calling you out on the same shit.
Right.
Because
sorry, I was gonna say, what, a lot of Black men deal with that on places like in the workplace too, and they deal with a lot of it in construction sites and all those kind of places. They deal with a lot of racist comments, jokes, and all those things that are being said about Black people, and a lot of that, again, it's in jest, but you know that it's rooted in racism and in prejudice. And so there's a lot of Black men who have to deal with that too, and they don't always know how to, because I feel like women are able to be more emotional about things. Like we can say when things hurt our feelings or when we're upset, but I feel Black men are expected to just laugh things off, even though they are being told some really vile fucking things. I feel like they're always having to be like, oh, don't be that guy. Like, oh, come on, don't be that guy.
Don't be
Yeah.
sensitive. Don't be you're being sensitive.
You're being super sensitive. We're just fucking joking. Like, oh my God. Like, but then they say things about your culture, about how you guys eat, or about, you know, Shaniquas, or they make whatever kind of comments, you know, and they make jokes about it, right? So a lot of times what happens is we retaliate by doing the same thing, right? Yeah. We retaliate by making derogatory jokes as well, just to even the playing field, right? So sometimes it's like, you don't want to be that person. You don't want to have a freaking racist remark for every goddamn one that you hear, but you start to arm yourself with responses, because what else are you going to do? You can't go crying to your manager every time somebody makes a joke with you, because then you become a problem. Right? So then what do? You become a problem too and start telling them about themselves. Like,
but the person who's going to be affected is the person who, the person of color or Black person who responds in that way. It's kind of like, we can't win. It's crazy, because it's like, okay, now it's time to deal with microaggression. And these are like some of the things they tell you, like, you have to think of all these other things. Like, if I respond, could my physical safety be in danger? If I respond, will the person become defensive? And will this lead to argument? Or if I respond, will it affect my relationship with my coworker or whatever? And if I respond, will I regret what I said, as you're saying with the responding back? And if I respond, does that person convey or accept my behavior or statement? So on top of us having to deal with the microaggression, having to deal with all the psychological effects that are happening, now we have to question and think about all these other lists of how we're going to respond and how it's going to actually affect us.
If we should respond.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It is.
We have some comments. Oh my goodness.
Oh, dry. Sorry.
So yeah, we're about to wrap, but yeah, so we have some comments. So Junior says it starts with financial freedom. Once you realize that they cannot hold your job over your head, you have the true freedom to do what you have to do. What you have to. Agreed. And the other comment is from Miss Susie. She says, speak about when others believe that when the very few Black people, especially women in the office place, are talking or hanging, that we must be plotting. We cannot just be having a regular conversation. Absolutely. We are always the Black Panthers.
Girl!
Some kind of uprising, girl.
I said,
no, girl. I was just telling them about my night, like, you know.
You know what? Now that I think about it, when we were in university in our communication class, I remember there was a group of people that we just bonded at that particular time. Do you know that people used to call us the Black Caucus?
Wow.
Why? And now that I'm looking back at it as an adult, what the fuck does that, we can't, it's so bad that we can't actually just get along with each other and just like each other's, and just be chill with each other. Why?
This all comes right back to our slavery history, because when we congregated, we were what? Planning to run away. So now when we get together, it's the same thing. Like, yo, wait, we trying to get away. We're always plotting something. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're just living. We're just existing. We're just here. Like, do we get scared when, like, as we should? If there's a group of white people get together, like, what? Like, do your thing.
They go to lunch together. They help each other out. Nobody says anything. But as soon as we do it, it's a problem. DP says, I started asking my manager, are you asking me this because I'm Black? And then turning back to my work.
Yeah.
I want to know, DP, how does your manager actually respond to that? Because that's like, that's really direct. You really
very direct.
About
your... like, whoop. Oh man, that is hilarious.
We almost time to wrap up, but like what I wanted us to leave our audience with is, how do we move forward from here? You know, especially in this tense environment, like, how do we move forward? What do we do to keep the conversation going, to keep it a trend for a long time? You know, like, what do you think some of the things we can do?
My tip for people who, non-Black people, there's 5 things, 6 things I would say. Short, just make an effort make sure you're thinking before you actually speak. And as much as it's easy to just open your mouth and say whatever, think about what you're saying. Be constantly vigilant of your own bias and your own biases and fears that you have against a particular group, and make sure that you're not exhibiting that on your coworkers or your friends or people that you see on the street. Fucking meet other people. Seek interaction with other races so that when you're in the workforce or when you're fucking doing an H&M ad and you put a fucking monkey beside a black kid, you will see in your mind and you would realize that that is a fucking problem. Talk to other people, talk to other races, talk to other ethnic groups. Understand what's really popping. Don't be defensive when someone's coming to you and telling you how they actually feel. That is another thing. And be open to discussion. Be open to discussion. And my last thing is be a fucking ally. Be an ally and support and understand. You're never gonna fully understand what other people go through, but at least try.
Yeah.
Try. Those are my tips. I'm done talking for the thing. You can
And for me, I agree. I echo everything that you said. And one more thing I would add to that is put yourself in other people's shoes. I think there's a lot of times when everyone is only looking and speaking from their own perspective, where people say things like their racism doesn't exist and all those kind of comments. I think you're only looking at life through your own lenses. And I think if you take those off, look at from other people's experiences, and maybe you might see something else. But that would be my recommendation. Allyship is a verb. It's not a verb like the way I said it, but it is a verb, and that you have to actually act. It's not enough to just do hashtagging and marching. It's not enough. So my recommendation moving forward is that it's great that we have your attention. I'm thankful that people are listening, people are willing to make a change, but that's what has to happen now. Change actually has to come from this. I think there's two things that need to happen. Yes, we have to spend our dollars within our own community. We are also asking that other communities spend their dollars within our community. And that means breaking bread with Black businesses. Don't assume that because a business is Black owned or Black run, that they are not adequate in the business that they are in, that they cannot provide you with professional services, that they cannot meet you on the deadlines that you set. Don't assume that those types of, that too is a microaggression that I've experienced with, dealing with companies that don't necessarily want to hire a Black anything because they question the integrity of your work. So, doing things like that, moving past just the hashtagging and the fist in the air. Let's hire Black people. Let's break bread with Black businesses. Let's spend money in the Black community, and let's put aside our biases and our racism and our prejudices against other cultures and races.
Yeah. Echoing what Tasha said, or carrying on from what Tasha said, you cannot enjoy the Black culture and not want to be a part of the fight against racism. Like, it's not fair for you to love our music and love our culture and how we do our hair and the way we dress, and not want to help us to fight against systematic racism. Another thing that I want Black people to do is to educate yourself. You cannot be too educated, because through education, that is how you're going to have the confidence to stand up against racism. Because it's when you're not educated, you're afraid to speak out, or you're afraid that you're going to lose your job because you don't know your rights. You don't know that you can speak out about these things. You don't know that you can ask for that raise, or that you can say that this white person, I'm not comfortable sitting beside this white person. So educate yourself and don't be afraid to speak out. And look internally, spend your money internally. Look out for your Black brother. Like, when you see another Black person on your street, that is your Black brother, that's your Black sister. You have to look out for each other. So for us, like, we know that maybe our allies will want to make this a trend, but for us, this is our reality. So if we educate ourselves, then we can change the whole dynamic of this racist thing. And so we can pass that on to our kids. So I think that's where we should go from here.
And Tess, your comment actually just sums up our title. It's the little things that we do that can create something as a Black community that could create confidence, support, mental support, physical support, any type of support. That's what we should be doing with each other. But before we leave, I just want to read the people's comments coming on. I think anybody thinks I'm PSC. I'm sorry, guys. So I just want people to know, they're like, why is this African girl speaking patois? I've been raised by Jamaicans since I was a child. So this is ingrained in me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be Jamaican. Just FYI. Remember how I asked DP how the manager responded in regards to them saying that, are you asking me this because I'm Black? The first DP, she's saying she started to admit it because it was starting to become obvious. So I guess we do have to call these people out. Junior says that we have to be conscious and aware about our surroundings, drink water and mind our business. And Pink Sweet and Lace says other races ain't checking for us though. And that's what I'm saying. If we sum it up, it's the little things. It's the little things that we can do within our community that we can help each other out to deal with, because we're dealing with a lot of psychological trauma that we're trying to avoid and ignore. So do your part. If you see a Black sister at work and she looks like she's struggling and she needs a little help, go and help her. Go and help her. Ask her. Don't chat her. Say hi. Yes. Yeah. So yes.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you for joining us this week. This was a good one.
Woo! Yeah. I can go on, guys. So let's just cut this short. So we've been going on to 8:55.
Thank you guys for joining us. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We see y'all popping up all the time. We see a little subscription notifications popping up. Thank you. Thank you. Continue. Share with your friends. We'll be back next week. What y'all want to say?
Have a great week, guys. Remember your mental health. Take care of your mental health. Tune out if you have to, but take care of your mental health and read, educate yourself.
Yeah. And others.
Yes.
Spread love. Have a good week.